Welcome to the SOULFIRE podcast, where healing is raw, truth is sacred, and your story gets to burn and rebuild in the same breath. I'm Power Coach Alicia, pattern breaker, soul mirror, fire starter, and the unapologetic voice of the burn it down and rise anyways revolution. We don't fluff your wounds, we don't filter your truth, and we don't water down healing so that people stay comfortable. You've spent way too damn long proving your worth to people who only love the version of you that stayed small, quiet, and convenient. If you've ever swallowed your truth to keep the peace, shrunk yourself to stay chosen, or disappeared in your life, this season isn't just a reset or another motivational podcast. This is where you reclaim your voice, your fire, and your fucking self. I'll give you the truth that heals, frameworks that hold, and soul codes that will change how you live, lead, love, and rise. Lovey, come forward. It's time for you to embody your wholeness. And I'm not only leading this season, I'm living it right beside you. Let's fucking go. Oh my gosh, we are here. The SOULFIRE podcast is back. It's Power Coach Alicia here, and season 5 is all about wealth in my frequency. And I've been sitting with this phrase for months now, just being so fucking excited for this season to launch and just really sitting with wealth in my frequency. What does that feel like? How does that move in me? Where does that sit in me? How am I delivering this? How are we gonna fucking bring the fire and slay for season 5? And so before we go any further this season, what I really want for you is to feel wealth in my frequency, because this one shift alone, it's going to change everything about how you build your business in alignment with your soul and what you're here for, what you're designed for, and in a way that feels fucking amazing in your soul. And it's going to change everything about why nothing has worked the way that you thought it would up until now. And we're not just talking about business. This is so important for you to hear, right? This is the soul wealth. Not just the wealth, not just the business, not just the success, not just the money, not just, your validation and your significance inside of the business world. We are talking about the soul and the wealth. Okay. But when it comes to business, and we're going to start there, and then we're going to kind of go out so you can see how this all comes together. Well, actually, let me rewind just a little bit. Before I do that, I want to mention this because this is really, really, really important, okay? This episode is your introduction to season 5, Wealth in My Frequency. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what this season feels like and the cadence and the rhythm and just the connection of it, okay? My podcast, the SOULFIRE podcast, is fucking brilliant. It's my best work. I say this all the time, everywhere I go. And I have done some really phenomenal things in my last 20 years and the different businesses and things that I've had. The thing about this season, though, is there's a huge frequency shift here. Now, last season 4 was Love Me More. And that was a song by Sam Smith. If you've not listened to that song, I recommend it, right? And I talked about this in the last episode, 25 Lessons from 2025. It's a very, very, very powerful song. And we have 2 songs that we're really theming the season 5 Wealth in My Frequency around. And we're going to talk about those 2 songs now. And then in the next episode, we are going to really dive into the heart of the first song and just the energy of that and what we are embodying from that and the container that we are building this season. In my world, we build containers, right? In my world, once these containers are built, we pour into these containers the energy, the intention, the rhythm, just everything that it is that you want gets poured into that container, right? So this isn't like an open flat podcast that you're just listening to and, on your way into this part of life and that part of life and this thing and that thing and here and there and all of that. No, this is a container that you tap into to receive the fucking fire and the energy and the power that is season 5. Okay. The other thing to note is that your success is 80% your relationship with your soul, yourself, your true self, not the ego and all the other bullshit, right? And so it's 80% soul and 20% business/strategy. So yes, I help badass business women exceed their income goals without starting over and feeling like a failure by teaching them how to align with their birth chart soul wealth blueprint. It's all the things, okay? So we're going to talk business, we're going to talk strategy, but it's light. The soul is what creates the wealth, okay? If you create the wealth without the soul aligned, the wealth will disappear, it will collapse, or it won't build in the first place, okay? And you've been taught to build your business from strategy first, okay? The biggest problem with that is that every coach, every program, every course you invested in gave you a strategy that did work, right? Okay? But one thing that I noticed, because I did this too, is that strategy was built for their chart, for their nervous system, for their identity, for their way of operating. And then they handed it to you like it should work at the same time, right? And so what happens is when you get in these courses and these programs and you're learning these strategies, it almost feels like you are contorting yourself to fit in a container that isn't quite right for you, okay? So that's why like this should work. And it's not to say that the strategies don't work. I've invested in a lot of different strategies that worked for me, but why didn't I stick with it? Why did I keep starting over? Okay? Or when it didn't work for me, right? Here's the thing. The one thing that we don't usually do is when it doesn't work, we don't question the strategy. We question ourselves, right? You tell yourself, I need more discipline. I need to stay consistent. I need to stop starting over. I need to get focused. I need to take this seriously. But the real truth is it's not about the inconsistency or not being disciplined or anything like that. It's because you've been building in the wrong frequency for your entire business. Okay. Then you layer in the hustle culture, right? That rewards your effort. And so what happens is there's this energy like, okay, building in the wrong frequency, your entire business layered in with the hustle culture, it rewards all of the effort. But what it does is it punishes you for alignment. So you make this effort, maybe you get a result, or you make this effort and you don't get a result. But every single time that something felt off, every single time it felt heavy, every time something stopped working, you would just call it a pivot, put all of the pressure, the weight, the expectation on yourself. But the thing is your soul wasn't pivoting, right? Your soul was trying to pull you out of something that was never designed for you in the first place. You know, they say, oh, you're always going to have to do things in business that you don't want to do. Okay, I can understand where that comes from. And the truth is, there are pieces that you do that maybe you don't love the most, right? That is completely different than trying to contort yourself to fit into a container that doesn't really hold you, doesn't feel you, doesn't see you, doesn't understand you, doesn't value, doesn't honor you, doesn't respect you. So then what happens is you create this distrust within yourself in business, and you create this unsafe environment for yourself in business. Everything is about the container. So when we talk about wealth in my frequency, right? It's not like a vibe, not like a vibe frequency, right? It's not a mood or something you feel into and that you hope works. When we talk about frequency here, when we talk about frequency in the queendom, the frequency is the signal your soul and your business is broadcasting at all times, right? Soul frequency first, business frequency second, because if your soul is misaligned, then your business frequency will be misaligned as well. And the thing about that signal is that it's either aligned to your actual design or it's borrowed from someone else's blueprint. There's no in between. This is where, all or nothing thinking, that black and white thinking is so important for you to note. It's either aligned to your actual design or it's borrowed from someone else's blueprint. Now, if we want to talk about, okay, it's not so black and white and there's a gray area and da 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 da, the only gray area is you can borrow things from someone else's blueprint that feels good to you because it's also aligned to your design. That's the only edit, which is literally the same thing as it's aligned to your actual design or it's borrowed from someone else's blueprint, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about your birth chart so you can understand throughout this season when we're talking about your birth chart, we're talking about your soul wealth blueprint, we're talking about these things. The birth chart is usually positioned as your personality. Okay. And yes, it's going to bring out your personality, the way you operate, the way you think, the way that you feel, how you feel seen, heard, and understood, how you feel valued, honored, and respected, how you trust, how you feel safe, what it's like in a relationship, your daily rhythm, all of those things. Your birth chart does show you that. It's not this simplified personality, though, or this simplified horoscope, though. It's literally, unequivocally, your operating system. And it shows you how you're designed to make money, how you're designed to work, what drains you, what creates momentum, what causes you to disappear right before you break through in all areas. Remember, when we're speaking here, we're talking about soul and wealth, not just wealth. So, what that means is when your strategy doesn't match your design, it's not just you feeling off, you end up looping, starting, stopping, rebuilding, second guessing over and over and over and over again. But when your strategy matches your soul's frequency, your birth chart, then everything's going to change for you. The communication in your relationship with your partner, your children, your friends, your family, the way you show up for yourself, the soul work, how you find your daily rhythm, the alignment with yourself, your soul cadence, right? The content lands, the offers make sense, the sales process really feels clean and fluid, your energy stabilizes, and your income shifts from being something you chase and it starts being something that recognizes you. Remember that money is a frequency. Matching to the money you want to attract is a frequency. And so that's why we say you go from chasing it to it being something that recognizes you. It's that frequency match. Okay? Well different than just manifestation. It's alignment and identity and your soul's architecture. So, this is exactly what I walk you through inside of my free soul money roadmap workshop. Okay. So, in this workshop, a lot of people will just teach like surface level astrology to give you value or some generic strategy. But in this workshop, I actually show you exactly what I'm talking about here with your soul wealth in your frequency. Okay, so you'll learn the patterns keeping you stuck and where you've been building out of your alignment and how your chart is wired for money, where it's wired for money, what your daily work rhythm and capacity is, how your soul is designed to be seen and visibility, your confidence, your power, all of that happens in the free soul money roadmap workshop. Okay, so you can finally understand why you've been doing what hasn't worked and then what actually will work for you. This is a live workshop and it's free. Okay, so the link is in the show notes under the Soul Money Roadmap section. Sign up for that. Join me for that. I will show you how to use some specific information in your birth chart to look at your wealth design, your daily capacity, your wounds, how you're meant to show up, your confidence. It is such a powerful workshop. My clients take it over and over and over again because they learn something new every single time. Okay. So, one thing that you might not know is that there are wounds that sit behind your income. And every woman I work with hits this point. Okay. And she hits this point usually before she finds me. That's why she's coming into my world. That's why she's saying yes to the Queendom. That's why she's joining the Soul Wealth Blueprint program, is because she knows she's capable of more. She knows there's more in her, that there's this fucking fire in her that's burning and feels so, so, so good. Right. And she knows that it's there and then it's going to lead her and it's going to take her to where she wants to go. But the challenge is tapping into that fire, trusting that fire, connecting to that fire that is just her truth all in and of itself. And one thing I want you to note, and we're going to take just like a little tiny detour here, is that this podcast exists to do 4 things. And it's the acronym for FIRE. The F is to forge your queendom, the container that you build for your soul, yourself, your wealth, and your clients. Okay, to invoke your power. When we talk about power in my world, it's that confidence, that badassery, how you just stand in your fucking solidness. Okay, invoking that power is the I. The R is rising in your frequency, where you're continuing to rise, you're continuing to rise, you're continuing to rise. But that rise feels so full and so amazing and so powerful. And to embody your worth. Okay? Because the world needs who you were made to be. What if everything that you've been forcing day in and day out in your life up to this point was never meant for you in the first place? What if? Well, I have a community that's built specifically for women just like you. And in this community, we go straight to your birth chart because this is where your real soul and wealth design lives. Inside the Queendom, every single month, we run 4 live sessions together: a wealth camp for your money, a soul camp for your healing, 2 soul money roadmap workshops to map your aligned path forward, all custom built around your birth chart and your soul's design. This is your missing piece because it's your design, your chart, your wealth frequency, and your soul. That's what makes it so freaking powerful. And when you join at VIP, you receive a fully personalized birth chart, soul, and wealth course that has 4 custom audios in there recorded specifically for you and your chart. It has your soul architecture, your healing patterns, your wealth wiring, your relationship dynamics, your relationship rhythm, your daily rhythm, how you're meant to make money, how you're meant to show up, what business you're meant to build. All of that is in there. And then it's all wrapped together in a very simple, easy to implement 90-day plan so that you can take that information and get it deployed in your life. So click the link in the show notes and get signed up for your free 7-day trial. Queen, come home because we're waiting for you. So you feel this. You know you're capable of more. You know that you want to do this. You feel this FIRE acronym. You want to forge that queendom and invoke your power and rise in your frequency and embody your worth, right? So you feel these energies. You feel this capability. And then when your income doesn't match it, you're told that it's your mindset and you need to think better thoughts or you need to act as if and affirm abundance. There's one big truth, though, that nobody is saying that I'm screaming from the motherfucking rooftops. Yes, mindset is extremely important. It is. However, it's not the issue. What the issue is a soul level identity wound that you have. And that wound sounds like, I'm not ready yet. I need more proof. I need to be further along. Once I hit that level, then I'll feel worthy. Or I'm an imposter or whatever it is, right? And as long as that wound exists or those wounds exist, your income will always match that ceiling because you can't build wealth on top of an identity that doesn't believe that it gets to receive it, that doesn't believe that it deserves to receive it, that doesn't believe that they have what it takes to receive it, right? So that's why we don't focus on strategy problems, right? We focus on the pattern and helping you see that pattern. Because until you see that pattern, until that pattern is seen, nothing changes. Now, we open this up, at the beginning, I talked about, the 80-20. Okay. And we already talked about that it's 80% soul healing, 20% wealth building. And this is why my work looks so different because in every container that I build, 80% of the work is your identity, your healing, your pattern interruption, emotional regulation, self trust, right? Understanding yourself, your body, your soul, how it moves, how it speaks, all of the information that it gives you so that you can actually make a conscious decision that's in alignment with yourself. And then only 20% is the strategy because the strategy absolutely matters, but it only works when the person implementing it is aligned. When your identity stabilizes, then what happens is you follow through, you decide faster. The overthinking is like a thing of the past and it becomes a feedback. If you're overthinking, that is feedback that you are not in alignment. You are doing something that is not in alignment with your soul wealth blueprint. it eliminates restarting, because if you are taking action that's going to make you restart, that is feedback that you are out of alignment. See, when the channel is clear and the container is set, then the strategy will work. And that's the part that nobody talks about in the way that I talk about it, just with that raw, down to earth, grounded fucking information, right? They hand you tactics, but they never give you what helps you understand, connect with, and love the parts of you. And that the parts of you that keep resetting everything. Okay? This is such powerful work. And so that's why, again, in the last episode, 25 Lessons from 2025, I did set the groundwork and the energy and just the power for wealth in my frequency. And then over the last 4.5 months, it's been just building in me like a fire that's starting to catch, this piece of kindling, and then this piece of paper, and then this little bit of fire starter, and then there was a little gasoline in there, and then before you know it, you get this roaring bonfire, right? Huge bonfire, because you have all of these little pieces that are starting to catch on each other, and then it roars, and you're roaring in your soul, and you feel that fire energy where you're forging your queendom and invoking your power and rising in your frequency and embodying your worth. And I promise you, you will never feel better than you ever have before, because it's all in alignment. And let me just be fucking clear, because I am real as fuck. Like, if this is your first time with me and you're just getting introduced to me, and even if it's not, I want to remind you something. Nobody can fucking out heal, outwork, out study, out anything, whether it's a fucking birth chart or human design or whatever the hell it is. Life being lifey and people being peoply. Life will always be lifey, queen. People will always be peoply, queen. So it doesn't matter how much work you do. It doesn't matter how much you grow and evolve. Life always calls you forward to say, here's the next level of you. Here's where you're being called next. Here's the lesson you're learning next. In my world, we do it with your birth chart. We do it with astrology. We do it with my soul healing frameworks, my life, my history, my stories, everything that I've been through. And it would behoove you, I know this is the launch to season 5. It would behoove you to start at the beginning. I mean, you don't need to start at the beginning to come current, but I mean, go back and listen to these episodes. There's been people who have done that. You get a huge understanding of who I am, my journey, what I've been through, what I've healed through, what I've evolved through, how I've grown, how I've fucked up, all the things. You learn it all. You get a really good beat on who the fuck I am, because I lay it all out here in the SOULFIRE podcast. It's real life, real shit, real raw. That's the tagline for this podcast, and it will always fucking be that. Whether we're layering in wealth or whatever the fuck it is, it's always going to be that. Because I am nothing other than real life, real shit, real raw. Just know though, my love, people are always going to be peoply, and life is always going to be lifey. And when you stop making it mean that you failed or you're wrong or it sucks or that it's bad, when you stop labeling it as something horrible and you just let it live for what it is, it makes it so much easier to hold strong in the container that you build for yourself and to continue pouring into it. One thing that I will say often is that I'm holding space for you, right? I'm pouring love, light, and peace into your container, right? Because when I'm holding space, I'm holding it in the energy of my container, right? When I'm pouring it in, I'm pouring it into your container. But in my world is all about teaching you how to build that container. So Season 5, Wealth in My Frequency, is broken down into a 2-phase journey. It is extremely intentional and built on intentionality, because wealth is built in compound. It's built in phases. Healing your soul, connecting with yourself, working with your birth chart, all of that is built in phases and in compound. So The first phase of this podcast season is the Queendom, and that will run April through July. This is where you reclaim your identity and interrupt your patterns, where you understand your design and stop building from should and build from what feels good. This is where the real work happens, okay? And the Queendom is a song by a beautiful chorus. They are phenomenal. I love them. Their music is wonderful. It just lights your soul the fuck up. It's affirmation based music like you've never heard before. And phase one's theme is the Queendom. In the next episode, we are going to break down the Queendom, the energy that we're pulling, and we're going to build our container for season five based on the Queendom song in the next episode. So I'm going to walk you through what this looks like, feels like, and the rhythm to this for season five on building a container. And this is a container that I am building for us and for you and pouring into and showing you how we're going to pour into that all season long. Now, phase two will be the same container, but we're just going to layer on top of it, layer into it, right? Building. So phase one is like that foundation of the container, and phase two is the next level of that container. Apologies if you can hear my dogs barking in the background. This is real life, real shit, real raw here. So we're just going to keep moving fucking through. So phase two is Soft Girl Era. It's a song by Ari Lennox, and that will run from August to November. My podcast always wraps at the end of November. I take December, January, February, and March off to be in that winter season of the soul, of hibernation, of introspection, recalibration, and reconnection. If I didn't already say reconnection with myself, okay? So April to July is the Queendom, and then August to November is Soft Girl Era by Ari Lennox. Now, one thing I love about this song is it's upbeat, it's powerful, like the Queendom fucking shows, like you arrive, it's like you're on a lion, right? Like, and it just feels like this fucking power. And then Soft Girl Era brings in that soft and that flowy and that bounce and that energy, but the words are the power. So like I said, the next episode, I'm diving into the Queendom and we're building the foundation of this container with that song. And then halfway through the season, we will layer the next level of the container, and there will be an episode all around the Soft Girl Era song, breaking that down and how we are pulling the power from that song and adding that to the next layer of this container. There is nothing fucking like this out there in podcasts, courses, fucking blog posts, nothing, because this is all built from me. Okay, so the Soft Girl Era is what happens when the foundation is built. This is where the receiving comes. You learn to receive, where you live in more ease, letting it be easy, where that sustainability is, where you're in that rhythm and that cadence of alignment, and that income starts to compound and flow because of the energy shift. Here's the part that I need you to hear clearly, though. You don't get phase two in your soul, in life, in your rhythm, how you feel, how you live, how you are, without going through phase one, building that foundation of you and the Queendom and the energy and the fucking power, because the confidence, everything is built inside of your internal Queendom, right? That's what we're talking about here. You're going to build a Queendom inside and you're going to build a Queendom outside. And in my world, it's called the Queendom. My community is called the Queendom, where we hang out, where we learn, where we grow. And every single woman who has tried to skip building her foundation, her solidness, her fucking soul Queendom already knows exactly what happens, and you know it too. You rebuild again and again and again. Except for this season, we're not doing that, okay? This season's gonna ask you to stop performing in your life and in your business, and to start embodying and inhabiting that and showing the fuck up to it. Busy is no longer an excuse to not be fucking present. Busy is your call to be fucking present. This season is going to demand that you go inward before you go outward, that you stabilize before you make commitments, before you scale, before you go bigger, and that you align before you take any fucking action in any area of your life. And I know this goes against everything that you've been taught. But here's what I know for sure. The women who do this work, they stop starting over. They build consistency without that force. They exceed their income goals. They create a business that actually feels like them. They feel so solid and calm and consistent within themselves. They feel so confident in their decisions and how they move and how they're moving. It's like this whole new relationship with themselves. And that's the fucking standard now, not results. Alignment with those results. Okay? That's what this is about. And if you want to join us inside of the Queendom, the link is in the show notes. Because this is where the work actually lives, is inside the Queendom. I'm going to drop fucking bombs, spit fucking fire on this podcast. You can bet when you listen to these episodes, you will be moved in ways that you have never been moved. You will feel like I understand you and I know you in ways that you have never felt seen, heard, and understood, because that's who the fuck I am. So this podcast is going to deliver. This podcast is going to give it to you. I promise you that. You're going to get what you want. You're going to get what you need. You're going to cry. You're going to laugh. I'm going to piss you off. But if you fucking stay with me, I promise you, I will change your fucking life. And if you want to go deeper and you want to transform and you want to understand your birth chart even more and you want to build your life and business around that, join us inside the Queendom. Click the link in the show notes. It's down there. It says join us in the Queendom. The link is there. Go check it out. You owe it to yourself. Like literally, you can fucking join the Queendom for a free 7-day trial right now. However, in the lowest level, you can join that for the same price as a fucking coffee at Starbucks at this rate, and maybe a meal at eating out, like a fast food place. It's nuts how expensive things are. So why not spend that same money or less on your soul and your wealth and getting in that rhythm and getting in that cadence and connecting with you and who the fuck you are? Because remember, this season is going to demand you to start inhabiting, embodying the core truth of who you are. And I want you to remember this. You are worth it. You have always been worth it. The world needs who you were made to be. So show up every single fucking day as the badass you are and slay. I'm Power Coach Alicia, and I'll see you next time. Oh my gosh, Queen, thank you so much for being here, because we're all in this together through this journey called life. And if something landed for you today, if something moved inside of you in this episode and you felt that fire light the fuck up in you, then your next step is to step forward for yourself into the Queendom, because this is where we do this work together live every single month. The soul work, the healing, the wealth blueprint, all tied to your birth chart and your soul's design. So just click the link in the show notes to start your free 7-day trial and know that this castle was built for you. We will see you inside.